and welcome to the Play 2 Video Games Club. My name is Paul James, and in this episode I'm joined by Jay Parnas and Damo Camilleri. Jay, it is your game this month. What did you pick for us? It is not the same controversial one that you were suggesting at the end of last time.
No.
Things changed.
Yeah, I was going to suggest... Did we actually say what one was going to be?
Didn't declare because you worked it out off camera.
Okay.
Asura's Wrath was going to
It was going to be Asura's Wrath, much to your chagrin, but I was initially uncertain as to whether it was a wise decision because it's unplayable on the current gen of... Well, it's unplayable on the current gen of console, so it'll be a real fucking headache for us to get around, and I figure that in the event that they do make it backwards compatible, it would make it a lot easier for at least two of us. You don't have a... Do you have a 360?
I got a 360 I can use.
Oh, you do have a 360? Oh, then that'd be fine. Like you and I could play it backwards compatible, and I could just keep down
as
my
it
360
was, like
disc.
time kind of got away from me anyway.
Yeah, same. And then I broke my arm, so I figured that probably...
Which is a story we need to tell you about, because this is the first time that you've encountered Jay in a sling so far.
Is it?
This goes up first. So, Damo, what happened to Jay?
Well,
Give us a different story.
He was going for a trip over to
Hero!
he was going over for a trip to China, and all of a sudden he was attacked by somebody from Brazil, and then
this goes up before that episode.
he tried to suplex a train and it didn't happen.
And then the pigeons got him.
Pigeons,
And they grabbed his arm.
The pigeons got him. Oh man, the pigeons.
Let's move on. So Jay,
What is with you guys and pigeons?
Well, he picked Dutch
Pigeon
from
boys.
Fuck.
What?
Your jokes are foul.
What? What is it that you picked for us in the end this month?
So I picked one of my old favourites, one that I figured that you guys would both have easy access to, and probably at least
Some memories of anyway.
have probably both played at some stage, but probably not for a long time. You'd never played it before.
I had.
Yeah,
I
but
just suck at it.
yeah. So I picked Star Fox 64, aka Lylat Wars. So the 64 iteration
As we knew it to be.
Yeah, of the Star Fox series. So I guess first question up for you guys: which versions did you play? And
Originally the 64.
No, for this month.
Well, the 64 version via Virtual Console. So
Sure. Okay. Was that through the Wii U or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 3DS version.
Yeah, I did not have access to my original 64 version, and fuck, hooking up a Wii, like, come on, son.
Look, I was saying the same thing about hooking up the Wii U, but
Yeah,
whatever.
true. So I ended up playing mine on my 3DS as well.
That was the time.
Yeah. So yeah, I played it on the 3DS.
bar for? Come on!
Yeah. And then I'd have to find my GameCube controllers.
Top or bottom of the TV.
Yeah. Life's hard. So that's...
Why can't I take this gamepad with me wherever I go? Come on, Nintendo.
Huh. That's a pretty good idea. Alright, so moving on to the real business. Did you guys enjoy the really campy, cheesy story and voices in the game?
Especially when I was younger.
Yeah.
And we played this together.
Oh yeah, man.
A variety of times through primary school.
In terms of score beating, that's where I cut my teeth. I was all about fucking trying to kill as many guns as I could.
But did the cheesy kind of dialogue sit with me as well as an adult? Still got a chuckle, but I didn't find it as amusing as I did back then.
But did you find it grating?
But I also didn't. No, I didn't. But I also didn't necessarily think of it as campy or cheesy back then as a kid either, because I just didn't have this same level of knowledge of what I do.
True, and a lot of
about
shit's come since.
Game dialogue and film and all that sort of stuff. Not that I'm a big movie buff.
And stuff has become memes since.
Yeah.
You probably were less excited about the dual barrel roll line than you were back in the day.
I don't think I even had an internet connection, so...
Well, I mean, but that's the thing.
What it could have possibly become, I could not comprehend what it was going on.
No, but I mean, that was always a very favourite line for a lot of people, at least me, certainly. I was always like, dual barrel roll!
No, you did.
It's extremely... But,
ad nauseum.
But when that kind of became a meme, I guess, some of that might have lost... Yeah, that might have lost a bit of its luster. What about you, Demo?
I thought it was grouse. I really enjoyed just the I don't know, like...
Falco being a jerk. And...
Well, yeah, because it's really weird, because my only real connection to these characters were through Smash.
Yeah, right.
So Falco and Fox, it was like, I just thought, they're kind of buds, whatever. And then, like, you get in there, and it's like, Falco's like, well, he's blue, which I thought, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Like, red and blue, like your Sonic and Knuckles, or your Vegeta and your Goku, like, all that, there's the cool bad guy, like,
Fox is yellow. Just the Peppy's red.
Peppy, that's
the
hair.
Sorry, mate.
Oh, well,
Under the bus. Now it's your turn to be under a tram.
Whatever. I can suplex it. No, I thought it was grouse.
But he is definitely a Knuckles-like character.
Yeah, he's a foil. He's the typical.
He's a foil, absolutely.
Yeah, when you sit there and you're like, oh man, it's the cool.
Yeah, he's the cool character.
Guy.
Yeah, the too cool for school character.
Yeah, that was kind of cool, and like the other characters are just like.
But see, you didn't even get like the old style. Yeah, the old style is even better because he almost sounds like a New Yorker in the original. It was like, I'm fine, you'll get with our Fox. It's like, fucking... Whereas in the new one, he's just like, are you okay over there, Fox? That type of shit.
Damn.
So, yeah, it was a bit faster and loose back, or more loose, I guess, in back in those days. So,
yeah.
I do personally
the Wild
prefer...
West days of the 64.
Yeah, I personally prefer the 64 story and like... Well, the story's the same, but like the voicing is definitely... way shittier, but way better in the old version.
It was just very 90s.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like I like the concept of, like that the entire solar system is under attack, but you're also like mercenaries. You're not necessarily heroes. Like you're kind of also out to get paid.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at the end.
For hire.
Yeah, and at the end, like, depending on how well you perform, there's like a check at the end that you have to stamp, and depending on how well you perform, General Pepper will give you a tasty little voice line. My favourite was always getting the old, what? Where it's just like, I have to pay how much? It's fucking real good. Alright, so moving on from there, tell me about your guys' playthrough. What did you, how many times did you play it through? Like, did you...
I got the journey dozens and dozens of times.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the stock standard, I guess what you'd call the the main critical path that most people...
Is that the blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That most people would typically play. Start at Corneria and just go from there.
Fair enough.
Not that that's any different, I guess.
I mean, you always start at Corneria.
You always start at Corneria. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Corneria, asteroids.
Yeah.
Do the shit.
And geez, do I love Corneria. It's simple.
Corneria's a good stage.
And it's just a great intro to all the different mechanics and everything they show you through. But yeah, there's still opportunities to branch off and do things different ways. So it's awesome.
And also very reminiscent of like the Super Nintendo game. Like a lot of that level is similar.
Yeah, it's almost a rip from it.
Yeah,
in some ways.
which is good because I guess it's kind of like it's acknowledging where it's come from, but putting it into a new era, which is nice. What about you, Damo?
Yeah, I did the basic
bitch mode.
Basic bitch path. I mean, I suck. I can't get my head around the controls.
Do you have up as up and down as down, or do you play invert?
I play invert when I fly.
I play invert as well, yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Down to up, up to down.
It just makes sense to me if you're flying, like, you pull back.
You pull back on the stick,
to go up, like... 100%
agree with you. Anyone that does...
Well, see, I was learning the control before I understood necessarily how that makes sense. So it was always just, up makes me go up, down makes me go down. So I've always been in the...
Oh, shit.
Not like...
Really?
Well, I guess what now gets called, standard, but...
Yeah, no, and... I don't know, like, I just suck at controls. And I think because now I'm at this point where, like, when I last played it, I had this mindset of, like, no, I'm going to get a perfect run. So I kept restarting, and I was like... No, this wasn't how it was built. Like, it was built that you continuously played until you got the perfect run. And I was just like, I was getting mad at myself. And then I thought I can do that. I can just play it normal. And like, no, I restarted that first level multiple times. Then I just went, nah, let's just nut it out. And I died a bunch. And
it was a good time.
It was a good time.
Well, what do you guys think of like the concept of having the multiple different paths that you can access via the different like things
depending
that you
on
can
what you do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously not new to people these days.
Sure.
Maybe in that context, it's still like it's not necessarily old hat, but look, I've got no problems with it at all, and it does. It makes for a really replayable experience. It gives you lots of different options and alternatives, and reasons to go back and explore and play a different way, approach something. Some of the ways in which you access those require you to complete some things that aren't necessarily easy. They're not hard, but they're not necessarily easy.
Some of them are actually.
Some can be.
Some of them are really fucking hard, actually.
But like to complete, particular things that get you to a certain outcome, and then send you off on a different path. And on your initial playthrough, that wasn't necessarily the priority because you're busy looking around at whatever else that's going on that you might miss that first little ring you have to pass through, or whatever it happens to be. So that makes the game really replayable. And it's a shame that there's not more games. I mean, it's a shame that modern Star Fox doesn't do this right. Because and a bunch of other things in modern Star Foxes that they don't do right. But it's a shame that we don't see that sort of stuff being executed very well these days.
What's your thoughts on
branching paths are good?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really cool thing. It gave me, because once I got through it, it didn't take me forever. It took me like 3 or 4 hours to get through.
Jeez.
You were talking about how you
I
struggle.
So
well, no, if you're replaying levels and that's just time that you're burning,
And then no, but like it was kind of like one of those games. It's like, oh, I'm done. No, I want to see what's happening up here. Like, how do I get to there? And do some googling and stuff now. Like, you guys obviously had like self-exploration and you.
Oh yeah, but playing now, I don't remember how to do that. Like consulting old. Google.
Yeah, and it was just weird how
so
everyone.
For me, I've got that shit burned into my fucking skull.
Everyone as a kid, information got shared.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, how do you get through the Lost Woods in Zelda? It was like the first one. It was like, oh man, you just go like right, down, right, up, down, left, and it was like.
Is that actually is that all correct?
No.
It's
I was going to say, the first couple were right, and I'm like...
You didn't have to, though, you just followed the music.
What?
The
music. Original one, there was an actual, you had to go, Zelda 1.
Oh, Zelda 1, sorry.
Yeah, not
I thought you said
Ocarina, you just follow the music.
Yeah, you just follow the music.
If you still can't follow the music, just lightly go up to it, and it'll...
Yeah, and then you can start to see the background load in.
Yeah.
But, no, so... I was like, oh, how do I get there? And then, I got a couple of the...
branch path
thing, and I was like, But I suck. So I was like, all right, this game's actually causing me...
Bit of stress?
Causing me stress.
See, for me, I've always viewed Star Fox 64 or Lylat Wars as a really good example of how an arcade game can transition into a full console game.
Yeah,
because I feel like an arcade, it is an arcade game. It is a score-based fucking level game with fucking lives and healing items, but you take a lot of damage and shit. There are fucking pickups. It is one of the truest versions of if you think of 1942, I think, stuff like games like that, or games like fucking Gradius, even games like that. Obviously, more the top-down ones like Twin Bee or something like that. I think is another one of those top-down ones.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about, the old style shooters.
Well enough.
Where it's like a scrolling shooter, basically. Those sorts of games, especially the top-down ones. I feel like Star Fox is really like the 3D, what a 3D one of those is, basically.
Yeah, there's not really been many others that have nailed that.
Yeah, it's not quite a bullet hell. It can be in some spots, for sure, but you've got your barrel roll, as Peppy would love us to know.
Do one.
Yeah, do one. Do them. They're good. They're good for you. Reflect bullets. It's great.
I'm sure I'll be dropping in little clips.
Do it.
Little audio fragments throughout this.
I just want just right about here. I just want a spinning R-wing, just constantly fucking I want to generate power with the amount that this thing is spinning.
The lights to start.
Yeah, just but so for me, I think that the entire concept of branching paths is if you think of games like Smash TV or something like that, they all kind of have branching paths in them. Some of them are just straight up level based stuff in arcade games, but there are definitely some where even old games like Outrun and shit, they all have branching paths. So it's very much Like, it's got that arcade feel, and it's one and done. Like, you can replay the level, but you can't go back to previous levels. Once you're in that playthrough, you're in that playthrough until either you run out of lives or you finish it. So I think for me, it's really interesting in that it kind of gives you that, like, all right, well, once I'm done with this, fucking load up another coin and try and go a different path, if that makes sense. And the medals and score thing also kind of lead into that. So for me, I think it's absolutely necessary to the Star Fox formula. It is an intrinsically Star Fox thing, and I think it is criminal to remove something like that, or even to like not give it the full. Because I think one of the issues, because they tried to do it in Star Fox Zero, I believe, but I think that it was way too convoluted, the ways that you needed to do them. It was like parts of the level where you could kind of stop and do this side objective, which is not really in the spirit of Star Fox 64. In Star Fox 64, and again, if I'm pissing off our Australian fans by not calling it Lylat Wars,
and
bros,
probably some European people, so I don't know, we're just making sure.
Yeah, and not to mention it is called Star Fox 64 3D was the version I played, so that's kind of in the brain at the moment. But you kind of have to fly by the seat of your pants, and you have to complete the objective while under gunfire and being forced forward for the most part. Like, so I think it kind of loses that, and I think that's where part of the problem is. So for me, I think it's inherently a Star Fox thing. It needs to be in there, and when it's not, I at least me personally, I really feel it. I don't know about anyone else, but for me, I think it's crucial because it helps to retain that arcade feel, and I think that's for me where the interest comes from. I mean, the multiplayer's fun, but it's not amazing.
Just give me more all-terrain mode.
Range mode?
All range mode, sorry, yeah.
So basically you want dogfighting, is what you're saying?
Yeah, just a few more of those.
I guess. I mean, but
they nailed it there.
But they did, and that's because they used it sparingly.
Right. You know what I'm talking about, right? The
all-range mode is
the open combat bits at the end of each level.
It's where you can do like the U-turn. But there was also like entire levels, like Fortuna. I think it's for Fortuna. The first time you meet Star Wolf.
Okay.
Is where it's like the base has got the bomb. Like that entire level is just one all-range mode level. I think, look, obviously if they were, if you're looking deeper into that, yes, they could have, but I like the just flying down a corridor.
I like the corridor thing too.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about like what I could imagine a modern day take that is done well would be like, and it has a bit more of the all-terrain mode in it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's
all-range
mode. And that's what Star Fox Zero tried to do. That's what Star Fox...
Going to bed. You need a coffee.
Yeah. And that's what Star Fox Zero tried to do. And I don't think... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there was a lot of things wrong with that game.
Yeah, there was.
Like, I think if they nailed a lot of those other aspects, then you wouldn't be... Like, no one would necessarily be picking fault in that area.
So, just to segue off something I mentioned before, how good is Star Wolf?
Oh. Very.
Tell me about your encounters with Star Wolf. Like, that dude and his crew.
Well, I didn't really pay that much attention, like, on my playthroughs early on. Like, I was, they're cool guys. And I really only started getting a greater grasp on what they were like and who they were via Smash down the line.
Yeah, true.
Because I haven't played that many Star Fox games, really.
Right.
The original 64 or Lylat Wars.
That's about it, probably. The 3D one of the DS when that came out, probably.
Well, you got me messing around with it on the 3DS, like some of our old train trips to and from uni. You'd have your DS and you'd play that, or you'd get me try and play Custom Robo. I'm not using it as a thumbnail again. We've got it for one episode this coming month.
Also, I think Star Fox Command, which is very similar to 2, that I guess got technically a release last year, 2017's Star Fox 2.
Yeah. Which I haven't got, I haven't even replayed the original on the SNES Mini so that I can unlock that yet.
Yeah. What about you, Damo? What's your views on Star Wolf?
It was really cool, man. Like, I just love his absolute confidence. Like, you're like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and he's like, no, you're not. And
yes, we are.
Not so fast, Star Fox.
and you're just like, oh, who's this guy? And it was just like, it was a lot of fun to have like this guy come out of nowhere and like
a malicious rival.
Yeah, and actually be like, God damn, this is again
keeps you on your toes.
At this game, so I was like,
no, but he still keeps you on your toes.
Well, yeah, that's like
you still have to earn it. You can't just coast.
Yeah, and it's really good that they have like a rival that is like so good at what he does. Like you will get fucking wrecked if you don't do the right things at the
And
right
even if
time.
it's not necessarily you, because you're managing a party as well.
Yeah, because your
When those
teammates
others are
are
struggling,
your
and
teammates
they're
are terrible.
shit. So you've got to try and support them. So it means that you can't just be all about taking out one person or just trying to evade them the whole time. No, you've got to get around and try and look out for your...
Help.
Yeah, because you can see it blinking all over the place and you've got to get over there and do it.
It's so annoying.
Because there's a penalty if you don't.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, if you have something to sort of touch on, it's a good sort of, I guess, half segue into that. Is each member of your team is good for a certain thing. So, like Falco will,
And by a certain thing, he means nothing.
no. Well, they do it. They do actually have a special like a special ability where it's like, Peppy will give you like, kind of like the tips and tricks type character. Falco will be all about some secrets. Like he might...
And Slippy will complain a lot.
Slippy, if you do not have Slippy, you will not get a boss bar, like a health bar for the boss. So...
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably found that out.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting. Like it's cool. There should probably be a little bit more weighting on that. Like I think Falco flying in, shooting a boxer gives you a health ring that normally you wouldn't...
Yeah, that you wouldn't find.
I think it's pretty cool, but there probably could be more to it. Like I think the big effect is not having Slippy, which is a bit of a shame because Slippy's kind of annoying. But
lies the shields.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like I think it's really interesting. Like maybe if it was difficult, like if you had maybe Peppy could help you find. Oh, I think he also helps you find the weak spots as well. Maybe.
Yes. No, they're fairly.
They're pretty obvious.
It's old school gaming.
Yeah, it's the blinking yellow spot. Yeah, like shoot the fucking flashy bit.
You mean he's made of black and he's just got one big...
Yeah, he's got a triangle of
glowy
yellow
eye.
that I need to shoot. Yeah, that's right. Oh, you mean I should shoot the eye? Really? Yeah, okay. Weird, but I guess I'll give it a try.
Oh, look, it worked.
Yeah. So I think that's really cool, and I think the Star Wolf team in the same way is really interesting in that they've kind of got their counterparts, where like you've got Leon, who's kind of like the cheeky, snarky one, similar to Falco. You've got Andrew, who's...
Yeah, the parallels are there.
Yeah, who's like... He's kind of the
good
science...
on you for remembering the names, because I don't know.
Oh, dude, I know this game back to front. He's like Andros's cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
Or nephew or what have you, and he's kind of the... Like, he's always there, like...
He's the leader of the bunch.
Yeah. But then you've got
Donkey Kong 64.
But then you've got Pigma, who is like, if you actually watch the story at the start of the game, the original Star Fox team was Fox's father, James McLeod, Peppy, and Pigma.
McLeod, that's it.
Yeah. So basically, those three first tried to take out Andros, and Pigma was the one that betrayed him, which basically led to your father's death. So each one of them, there's kind of like...
There's a connection there.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool. There's like little like back and forths between Pigma and Peppy and stuff like that. Like they do the story. Like, yeah, it's campy, but again, like I think they do it really... it's really pulpy and cool, I think, in a certain way. And I like that about kind of, I guess, your rivals.
Yeah.
And depending on which route you take, they are different, if that makes sense. And if you take them out earlier in your run, they don't necessarily come back later. So, for example, if you kill all of them at Fortuna, they don't come back at the satellite, if you go that route. So it's stuff like that that's pretty cool, I think. Alright, so into sort of the real business question, I guess. Would you play it again? Would you invest more time into it?
Have done.
Have you done so?
Over many years.
Yeah.
Would I again these days? No, that's unless there's a reason to do so like this. But not because I dislike it, just because
so much.
I've enjoyed that experience and I've had my time with it and I've moved on.
Yeah, I suppose if I had nothing else to do, but I was bludging around, I was trying to marathon a TV show and I didn't want to read comics or something that I could just pick up and be like...
Yeah, it's really good for like a run.
Yeah.
Like just do a run, especially
and play.
Especially the 3DS, because you can save between levels, but you can't really do that on the 64. It's kind of you turn it off and that's it, game over.
Pause and turn your screen off.
For me, I think it's a really good like run-based game where you can just... Because I mean, at the end of the day, like if you think of there are so many indie games out there now where it's like permadeath, roguelike bullshit. This is not really all that different, considering it's like I said before, an arcade game, which is a run-based fucking thing. So, yeah, that's sort of a cool, interesting thing. But I guess my last question, I didn't really prepare a huge lot today.
That's right.
But this one's a bit more of an involved question. There have been, as you mentioned, there have been definitely games and sequels in the Star Fox universe since, but I think it's pretty widely believed that 64 is kind of the top dog.
Yep.
How would you make a
Ahead
sequel?
Of some stiff competition.
How would you make a sequel to Lylat Wars? Like, what things would you take to bring forward? What things would you do differently?
I mean, the mechanics would need polishing.
Okay.
Refinement.
In
but
what way?
It's just kind of thing. The perks of having another, was it 20, when did it come out? Mid-90s?
96?
It's the perks of 20 years of improvements in terms of technology, sort of.
I mean, graphically, sure,
Yeah,
but like in terms of mechanics, like what would you change?
No, but like things would just be smoother and whatnot because of the improvements to the way it looks. It means that there's improvements to the way it handles and that sort of
Sure.
things. Hitboxes are enormous back then.
Yeah, true.
Versus what you would get now. So like it's those sort of
there's squares around your thing
the
instead
natural
of,
progression
Sure.
that time has created. But other than that, I'm looking for the same sort of experience.
Okay.
It is an arcade sort of thing. The whole idea of the arcade experience, be it something like a Star Fox or what we got in the arcades, is to pick up, play, perhaps smash through it in one sitting. You do obviously have your saves or save states or whatever it is, but just pick up and go and fly around and have fun with it. So I'm looking for something like that. And I know they haven't tried to do that with many Star Fox games since, and that's where a large portion of the problem is. I think that's almost a lack of understanding as to what sort of game this thing is. They see it as like a little Star Wars style thing, which it has those aspects, like with the story and all those sort of things, and that's cool, but I think they forget where the heart of the game is, and it's that arcade style experience.
Yeah, I agree.
So more of that.
What do you think, Damo? What things would you pull forward? What things would you change? What would you want a Star Fox game, a sequel, one that you think would be successful? What would you want to see it
Also,
do?
if Slippy dies in a fire.
So like
Or
almost,
Slippy gets a better voice actor.
so almost like
Kill him.
what
Slippy
you've
gets
got
better
right
as
now
kids.
is that beautiful flow that just seems to really work. But like having it like, because it gave you a sense of urgency. Like what they were doing was urgent. Like there was no stopping. They just kept flying and fighting. Like and I love arcade runs with things like that. I love it. You get more laser gun upgrades and things like that. Like I wouldn't mind your ships being able to change its weapons. Like whether it gets like a toothpaste gun or something like
So like more permanent or like more
like
varied
just,
or
just different weapons available would be nice if they were going to change something. And maybe like it's like, hey, here's the space battle, but now like optional right now is we can go down to a thing to use the whatever they call it, the Land Cruiser thing.
Landmaster.
Landmaster, use the Landmaster, and
Let's jump into our Toyota Land Cruiser.
go down on the planet,
terrain
and do an optional mission or fly around, and there's an optional mission, and like there's kind of things like that. But like also still have your branching,
just creeping in.
Yeah, but like it can be like you can just skip it, man. If you want to do the main mission, you want to just do these runs. Thing, but like maybe it's like you liberate a planet on the way or something like that. The end fight becomes a bit easier because some extra ships like come in and they start screwing around, and we've got graphical capabilities now of having more. So I don't think they really need to change anything because the game runs well. I just they obviously, as you said, polish up some of the things, but have the same feel of it. Just there's an urgency to get shit done. Like, I want to sit down and, make a base and have Fox talking to people and, maybe midway mission, like, if they're going to make it like a 20-hour playthrough game, like, it's like, all right, Grouse, like, here's, mission report, we're through hyperspace, we're going here, and this is what's going on here. Or it's like, hey, these are the things that are going on, but you obviously don't have enough to go over here, so we're going to plow on. So it's like, how do I get over there? Like, kind of teaching you, like, there are alternate paths, but like leading into why there's alternate paths. I don't know.
Also, potentially unpopular opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing more of the Star Fox Adventures, the GameCube game, which was kind of very, very... No, I'm not saying at that quality. Better. But, like, I wouldn't mind seeing stuff where you're out of any sort of ship or vehicle.
So what you're talking about is the Namco one that they made.
Was it Namco in the end? Rare was working on.
Rare did Adventures, but then there was another one after that for the GameCube where you could jump out and it was almost like a third-person Halo-y type game.
So hang on, what the rare one was like
Star Fox Adventures.
Yeah,
that was an RPG, and then there was Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking Adventures then.
Because we played the multiplayer of
we've messed around with little bits. But yeah,
that multiplayer. That's the Namco one.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of Adventures then. Something like gives you that opportunity to do a bit of storytelling out of the thing, do things a little bit differently. Obviously, mechanically, like your third-person action sort of stuff has come a mile in the 15 to 20 years since Adventures first came out. Nintendo themselves are doing that very, very well.
Adventures was like you just beating people with a stick. Whereas
Assault
was you using like blasters and rocket launchers. And
it's maybe somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. You could jump into a spaceship and fly around.
The idea that was they were trying to flesh out and couldn't. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing that there. And like Damo talks about a game that's 20 hours long. Like if it's your tried and true Star Fox and it's 20 hours long, no, I'm out. That's not, like we were talking before, it's an arcade style experience. That's not really personally what I'm looking for. Is one that just, because that to me smacks of, you're probably going to outstay your welcome.
Do you think Star Fox
I know you were kind of just slapping a number on it, but
do you think the Star Fox characters
if it's 20 hours and you're with those characters interacting, like you're getting out of your vessel, like you fly there and you encounter Star Wolf and all those, and you deal with some of these skirmishes and these traditional missions, and then you get to your destination and there's something you need to do on that planet, and that's all of a sudden it becomes your
so a bit more like a Ubisoft RPG type
of
game, except with Star Fox.
No, not necessarily. Like there's still like those segments where you get off and you're walking around and interacting with the world. They're important, but they should still be a secondary thing, something that maybe breaks the flow a little bit and change the pace. But I wouldn't mind seeing something like that to kind of shift things a little bit.
Fair enough.
As long as it's done well, and that's the key. It needs to be done well. And back then, the GameCube, like, it just wasn't. But Nintendo and countless hundreds, thousands of developers around the world are nailing that sort of gameplay all the time now. So
fair enough.
Worth revisiting in my mind.
If it was me, I would probably look to keep the arcade style. I definitely think that you could have significant improvements to length. I do think you could have a lot more length.
Longer.
Yeah, sure. Because what I think that you could probably do is that you double down on the whole split paths thing, and depending on the path that you take, maybe you get a different ending, or maybe you have, so you've got the sub-objectives that can allow you to go to a different path, but then maybe there's like sub-missions as well that then can affect the ending. So like similar to how you encounter like Kat or Bill or some of these sort of secondary characters that you're like, you're friends with someone in the team, but not really related to the story at all, and then they come back later on. Maybe I think doubling down on some of that type of stuff I think would be really interesting, because again it you can make each playthrough ever so slightly more unique, and that I think increases the replay value further. I think Damo's probably onto something a bit more, maybe being able to mod your ship a little bit, maybe being able to find like upgrades or have stuff be developed, whether that's in relation to submissions or whatever, being able to kit out your ship. I think that'd be really fucking cool. I think maybe if you wanted to have walking out of your ship, maybe something along the lines of what Wolfenstein's done, where maybe between levels you're like walking around Great Fox or something and interacting with characters. I think that could probably be the right way to do that without having it impact gameplay.
I'm looking for something that is gameplay personally.
But at that
that's
point,
what-
then you've just got a third-person shooter, and that's
Well, it depends on
unless you
what
want to
tack
take
you
it
wanna go with.
unless you want to take it first person, in which case that's even probably weirder. But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that I don't know. Like, I feel that might feel a little disjointed.
Yeah,
if you're
no,
like-
it could.
But then you would have to frame it.
Pace.
You would then have to frame it as this is a singular narrative. Where I think that, and I think this about a few of sort of Nintendo's, I guess, second tier stuff. I think more stories that are pretty easily run through. So, for example, if instead of say 45 minutes that Lylat Wars takes, if maybe a playthrough took you 2 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that, where it's longer, it's more in
That's
depth.
what Damo thinks Lylat Wars is? No.
Well, no, but
right.
like once
It's giving you a hard time.
once you're more
You've had a
proficient,
rough time with the game.
once you're more proficient at it, you can smash that in
Yeah.
half an hour. So, and it's the same experience every half an hour, except the levels are slightly different.
Yeah.
Like, I think that if you really double down on those sorts of things, where it's like you're then tapping into some of the like addictiveness of a lot of the permadeath type games, where it's like, okay, well, I'm going this way, I'm getting these things that I can potentially change my weapon to this, or I can potentially, kit myself out this way. Maybe I can have a submission that if I fly this way into this secret place, maybe I encounter like Starwolf doing some bad shit that if I then resolve makes the end easier or different, or maybe I get a distress call that maybe they're fucking some shit up, and that gives me another
I'm with
path. Like if you answer the phone call that comes through, stuff like that. I think that there's so many.
Or you just let it ring out.
Yeah.
Telemarketing.
Well, yeah. Like maybe you're maybe it's
Space telemarketing.
maybe it's ringing during a boss fight or something like
Yeah.
that. Because I think in Area 6, like Andros phones you up and starts like spamming you with bullshit because you're trained throughout the game. Like whenever you see that thing, you're gonna get some free cool shit from Great Fox. You answer it and he's like, "You're a dick," instead. So I think like you could have I think maybe Star Fox with way more modular elements. And I'm not saying they need to be randomized when you boot the game up necessarily, though I think that could potentially work. Like, maybe it's okay, maybe I get the distress call in the first level. Maybe I get it on the second last level. So maybe it's like, well, do I go to Andros now, or do I maybe do this other side thing that might take me back and I have to go like extend my playthrough? You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
I think that they could do really, really cool things with that. Look, I personally think that the dogfighting's fine. I like the corridor stuff. I like the all range mode, but I don't necessarily like it when
all terrain though.
I don't necessarily like it when it's the only part of the level, but I do think that similar to what they did in Star Fox Zero to a degree, I like the idea of like the transforming ship, but I don't think they need to fuck around with having them be separate. I think you could just have the air wing or the R-wing turn into the Landmaster, and then just have levels where you can do both, or there might be sections where you can be one but not the other, but then if you are the right craft at the right time, maybe again you get more of these little random pop-ups that's like, oh well, here's another little sub thing that I've resolved that is impacted by game in a certain way. Like I think all of those sorts of things where the narrative doesn't have to be super different. At the end of the day, it can just be, hey, this dude's trying to take over the galaxy.
I need to save it.
You got to get from point A all the way to point B, and I think it's the interesting. It's the path that you take. Star Fox for me is definitely about the path that you take, and I think making that way more modular and interesting that's all you need to succeed.
Yeah.
And having those different playthroughs be a couple hours long, and then you're done, and then that's it, and you can put it down and come back to it in a week and have a similar but different experience, I think is a really good way. Like in the same way how I say that I think Kirby is best when it's bite-sized games that take a couple hours to finish and then it's a different story with slightly different mechanics. I think Star Fox also
would benefit the same way.
absolutely benefit from that. It's not like it's not Ace Combat. It's not, you don't need to have this gritty fucking long story about how it's tough to be a fighter pilot or whatever. Like it's great when it's pulpy and short and random shit happens. Like you're flying in and someone's like, "Oh, I'm flying in and helping you out. We knew each other from back in college or whatever, and I happen to live here." Yeah,
another reference.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I just think that's way more interesting and would make such a and again, fucking double down on it. Make an arcade game of it. Like, fucking bring Star Fox 64 to an arcade machine. It'd be sick. Just take it.
So all 5 of you that still go to arcades.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a victim of circumstance, I think. But you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, I know.
like double down on it. Like, put like a downloadable, like an arcade score attack where it's just like, yo, here are your 6 levels. Try and score as good as you can, or he's just slightly branching path.
Go for it.
Like, yeah, there's so many. Like, it's all about how you build the Star Fox. Like, not the gameplay itself, not the story, but like the flow and the loop of Star Fox, I think, is the most important. And you guys have said similar things, just slightly different. And I think you're both totally right. I think that's it's how you structure that playthrough and how long. And if you make the commitment the right time frame, but want to make people come back and do it again, I think that's your success right there.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Any further questions from you?
No, that was a lot, man.
Any further comments, Damo? We've nailed Star Fox 64 / Lylat Wars.
Hopefully they do actually still make another sequel, regardless of...
I think it'll still
Star
happen.
Fox Zero.
Nintendo doesn't want to let go. They just clearly need to find the right team, right concept, right ideas to make it happen.
Hook me up, Nintendo. I know what's up.
So, that was another episode of the Video Games Club. Damo really liked it. Please make sure to like, share and subscribe if you really liked it, like Damo did. And that'll allow you access to me. Weekly episodes of Patch, the Video Games Club, The Insider, Player 2 Plays, a whole bunch more. If you like written content, make sure to visit the website, player2.net.au. We can find reviews, previews, opinion pieces, features, the Player 2 Writers Draft, news. There's heaps more. All that stuff can be found just on player2.net.au, so enjoy it.
Take a breath, Price.
For rolling updates, you can find me at Paul James P2 and the website at player2au. Damo is at Taco's Talks. And until next time, well, Jay doesn't do it. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. We'll work out my game, because I haven't given an ounce of thought yet.
Fair enough.
So until then, see you later.
Do a
Do a
barrel
barrel roll.
Oh, God.
Jesus.